You know what makes the Yakuza games so fun? The combat. Every character fights differently and it totally changes how the game feels. Some styles are just really satisfying, fast, smooth, and fun to play, and others not too much. They're slow, chunky, and honestly kinda frustrating. In this video, we're gonna look at the most hated and the most loved ones. And we're starting with Saejima fighting style in Yakuza 4. On paper, he's supposed to be a powerhouse, big, strong, and capable of taking enemies with sheer force. But in practice, his style comes with major drawbacks. He's very slow, and his attacks take a long time to start, which makes him feel clunky compared to faster, more fluent characters. If you miss an attack, you're immediately vulnerable, and enemies will swarm you before you can recover. The early game is especially rough since he doesn't have a kiss to his best moves yet, making fights feel tedious and frustrating. He also struggles against groups, as his heavy attacks can be difficult to land when surrounded, and breaking free from grabs can be tricky. Many players will say Saejima gets better later. That's true, once you unlock more moves he becomes much stronger and more usable, but for many players the damage is already done. That first impression stinks. Tanimura's fighting style is one of those that really stands out, and a lot of players love it for how unique it feels. Unlike the big heavy hitters or the super fast fighters, Tanimura is all about skill and timing. His style focuses on parries, counters, and precision, which makes you feel clever when you pull a perfect move. It's not just button mashing, you actually have to pay attention to your enemies and react to what they are doing, which makes fights feel satisfying. Players who enjoy more technical, skill-based approach really appreciate his style because it rewards patience and thinking ahead. Even though it's not flashy or over the top, Tanimura's combat feels smart and satisfying when you get the hang of it, and that's why so many fans consider him one of the most enjoyable fighters in the series. And on the other hand, Shinada's fighting style in Yakuza 5 gets a lot of hate because it feels really different from the rest of the cast, and not always in a good way. Unlike Kiryu or Akiyama, his moves doesn't flow into long punchy combos, so his unarmed combat can feel awkward and slow. Many players feel like his light attacks don't do much and his throws barely work because enemies break from them so easily, which makes standard fights drag on forever. On top of that, he doesn't have a strong counter like another characters, and his special tackle moves often feels underwhelming or even gets you punished instead of helping. Because all of that, people think his combat feels clunky, weak, and like a chore compared to the more satisfying styles of the another protagonists. That doesn't mean everyone hates it forever. Some players get into it once they level him up or use weapons more. But that early feeling of slow, awkward fighting is why a lot of fans complain about Shinada's style. Akiyama's fighting style in Yakuza 5 is one of the most loved for a reason. It is fast, smooth, and just feels satisfying to play. Every hit flows naturally into the next one, so combos are easy to string together, and it's super fun to tackle enemies or launch them in the air. His style isn't just flashy, it's also versatile, letting you deal with groups of enemies without feeling clunky or awkward. Players love how responsive he feels. You press a button, and he reacts exactly how you expect it. The combination of speed and fluidity and just fun to play makes Akiyama's style a favorite for a lot of fans across the series. Majima is one of the most iconic characters in the Yakuza series, but the way he plays in Yakuza Kiwami 2 still gets a lot of complaints from the fans. In Kiwami 2, his combat is basically a stripped down version of his Mad Dog style from Yakuza 0, and for a lot of people it just doesn't feel as satisfying or fluid as it did there. A common gripe is that the style feels clunky and limited. You only have few basic moves and barely any hit actions compared to the another parts of the series, so even when you land hits it doesn't feel as impactful or exciting. Some players say that the combat in Kiwami 2 in general feels slower and less responsive than older games, and Majima's version especially makes that stand out. Since his Zero incarnation was fast, acrobatic, and fun to play, the lack of style variety and the way the moveset was simplified gives a lot of people feeling like his fighting style just doesn't live up to his reputation, which is why some fans say Majima's combat in Kiwami 2 can be frustrating or disappointing to play. When I first played Yakuza 0, I only used Kiryu's rush style for the entire game, and honestly I can't see why it's so loved. It's fast, fluent, and really satisfying to use. Every punch and kick flows perfectly into the next, so you can chain combos smoothly and stay in control, especially during boss fights. Unlike heavier styles, Rush lets you move around quickly and react to big attacks, making it super effective against tough enemies. Even if you're not a pro, it feels powerful and stylish. Every hit lands right, and every fight with a boss feels exciting. That's exactly why I stuck with Rush style for my entire first playthrough, and why so many fans love it. And that's a look at some of the most loved and most hated fighting styles across the Yakuza series, from Saejima's heavy, frustrating attacks to Tanimura's skillful parries to Shinada awkward moves and Majima's simplified style in Kiwami 2, and then Kiryu and Akiyama's smooth and satisfying combat. Each style has its fans and critics. At the end of the day, it all comes down to what kind of gameplay you enjoy. Some people love speed and combos, another love raw power, and some just want a style that challenged them. The Yakuza series gives us all of that, and that's what makes it memorable. So which fighting style is your favorite, and which one that drive you absolutely crazy? Let me know, because I would love to hear what you all think about in the comments.